XCOM Enemy Unknown, made by Firaxis Games and published by 2Key Games, is a top-down turn-based RTS with a degree of micromanaging RPG elements included. Now, considering this was a reimagining of its 1994 original, and it was made by the guys who are behind the Civilization games, which are highly addictive, the game is set in the near future where aliens have come back to make their annual probing session, and in retaliation a group of countries called the Council of Nations have banded together to create XCOM, the most elite military scientific organisation in the history of mankind. You, the player, assume the role of your stock standard silent commander who is placed in charge of XCOM to fight for humanity's survival against the alien threat. And so to fight the aliens, you're going to need to recruit some soldiers, right? This ain't no fucking Halo stuff. There ain't no super soldiers fighting, respawning for 100th time alone or with friends if you had friends and played online, because you know that's where usually you play with friends. Anyway, to go into battle, you start with 4 soldiers of your choice, which can be upgraded to 6. Now, each of them can be customized from their name. Now, after 1 or 2 missions, your surviving squaddies, as they're termed from the beginning, since they're just bland soldiers at that point, will become one of 4 classes: the Heavy, who provides rockets, suppressive fire, and just outright firepower out the ass. Did I mention rockets? And to back up the Heavy, there's a support class who offers smoke grenades, which can makes it harder for the enemies to hit you. And at the same time, he or she offers medkits, which can heal your teammates up to roughly 1 to 3 times. Sadly, the aliens tend to be a distance from your team, which puts you at a really big disadvantage, considering the Heavy can't really aim that far. But to deal with this, you can get the Assault, who wields a lot of firepower, and at the same time, unlike the Heavy, he can actually rush the enemy. But Whistler, what's so good about doing that? Surely everyone can. Well, if you give me a second, I'll explain it, you in-person jerk. Come back! It was a joke! It was a joke! However, getting right in the faces of those basic aliens may not be the most strategically sounding plan. Or you can opt out for the sniper. I don't mean just the sniper rifle, that'd be just silly. Aren't you just so silly? What I mean is the sniper class, because the sniper offers extremely high accuracy, not to mention amazingly good damage output that can change the tides in your favour. Now, the levels, or missions as it were, are comprised of a turn-based system where your team moves and then the aliens move. Within your turn, each of your members has 2 action points, and each action point can equate for moving, shooting, defending and using items. However, with each action you can only move X amount of tiles, whereas you can take the risk and sprint, doubling the tiles travelled, but however leaving your soldier defences against any aliens they might bump into. Of which the assault class can rush, allowing them to take another action after dashing, which occasionally still puts you in a pickle so much, but sometimes it's oh fuck's sake! No fair! No! Orson! Man down! Man down! So, much like the Final Fantasy Tactics games in the games like Tactics Ogres, each soldier when killed or forever lost. No respawns, no extra lives, nada. No continue, done. The hardcore side of me reckons this is awesome because it adds extra tension, and with a little bit of imagination, this becomes this. Stay team, stay frosty. Take the shot! The hardcore elements combined with the connection you can have with your soldiers, including all the dynamic camera angles you have during fights, it really just brings it home. When your soldier dies, you feel like you've really let your guys down. Like the entire time I was playing this, besides certain parts, I felt like I was truly a leader, leading my elite squad right through to the end to fight the alien invasions to ensure that we can defend the planet against the final outcomes. Now, much like most RTSs, the way the enemies detect you is when you come into their field of vision. But however, with XCOM, it becomes a really big issue because half the time it'll be on your last soldier's last turn, and so you'll end up having to deal with the entire enemy having an entire turn just to wail on you tenfold. To aid you against the odds, there's a lot of micromanaging to be had back at your HQ. From the technical department to your research labs, there's so much to do that will even satisfy the most obsessive compulsive gamers out there. And every now and then your research will lead to building new weapons and armors for your soldiers, which adds to the overall longevity of the game and at the same time makes you feel like you are progressing in some way. At the same time though, I quickly noticed how basic and oversimplified the upgrades are, and the same goes for the tech tree in general. See, sadly, like Firaxis' previous game, Civilization 5, where the strategy of the game is a bit oversimplified, there isn't actually that many useful researches or tech builds to go for, and honestly, hardly any of them feel worth it, besides the occasional armor and like weapon upgrades, and like there's very few of them.
Not to mention the oversimplified skill trees for each of your characters. Now they each get a different one depending on their class, but other than that, none of them stand out. Most of them it's just plain simply, this ability unlocks your ability to kill more. Like seriously, every single skill tree is pretty much the same. Not to mention for the sniper, their 4th or 5th ability they can unlock pretty much makes them broken as fuck, because they can take one shot, kill one alien, then take another shot directly afterwards, and this can go on until there is no aliens to shoot.
Now that aside, XCOM Enemy Unknown is a really highly addictive turn-based RTS, with a couple of flaws. Now, usually like the music's fairly non-existent at times, but the theme for going into battle and the themes for when you're fighting are really nicely done. They're a nice add to the atmosphere, because there's a mix of action, sci-fi, and even a dash of horror sometimes. It just really makes you feel like you're fighting a out-of-this-world threat. And to go with the music, there is of course the second part of atmosphere being the level design. The level or the set pieces, as I like to call them, are really rich and varied in my opinion, as they tend to offer... They feel really random, but they feel laid out in a correct way, so it feels like you're looking at like a Warhammer 40k setup. Not to mention they tend to offer several methods of travel, entry, vantage points, for both you and the aliens, so you're always like, there's always a different way you could go about playing a level. Sadly though, the level design was really good, the aliens felt really lackluster. There was plenty of variations of skin and models wise, but most of them didn't feel like they needed anything different than just shoot them. I mean, it was pretty much all just, you broken piece of shit! Speaking of broken, well, okay, so for anyone who doesn't want spoilers, this is the part where I talk mainly about the plot points and the end of the final level, and you know, all the stuff that would essentially spoil half the story for you. So, how's about you click this link right here and you watch the final conclusion, which doesn't involve spoilers. So 3, 2, 1, get to the point mode activated.
So you assault the alien base, take control of their beacon, and you eventually discover there's a special ship that's been cloaked, for whatever reason we don't know. Now you then attack said ship, meeting an ethereal, which they act as essentially the elders of the aliens, and they seem to be the masterminds behind the alien invasion. You kick the crap out of it, or capture it, I think you can capture it. Steal the mysterious orb it had with it. Train one of your soldiers to use the psych powers the aliens have, like the ethereals and the original guys you fight. And then you have to pick from one of said soldiers to activate the orb and become the chosen one. Turns out you've been getting tested by aliens who for some reason want to create like super beings, and essentially they're using the human race to like fight a greater threat. And for whatever reason they think invading the planet and probing everyone in the site's a good way of doing this. Space logic, what can I say?
By this point you then have to assemble your team for the final mission on board the alien temple ship, and are forced to take the soldier who activated the orb as the new one. Now at first I was loving the idea of this level. It looked really awesome, it had an incredibly ominous feel, and the ever so haunting presence of the ethereals watching you from a distance just really added to the tension, especially when the new one started getting communicated to via the ethereals. It just added this high amount of tension. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I've got my eye on you faceless son of a... However, quickly the ominous feeling is kind of overshadowed by death-defying repetitiveness. Is that a word? Is it? It's not a word. See, essentially the levels start to feel like a tutorial at some point, because like each room they spawn one type of alien you've met during the game, and like in a group usually, and then ethereal gives you a rather dull long speech about how it was one of its failed subjects and how it's essentially just a mindless object for you to fight, and it just ruins it, because it just feels like you're it just breaks the flow of the fights. It feels like you're with Navi from Zelda, but she's aged 40 years and gone senile about her years back in Nam. But seriously, the one huge problem I have with this is how horribly the level was designed. Not so much as the way how it looked, but the way you progress through the certain checkpoints, as they were called, which are essentially just doors you can't go through. You need to ensure you've slain all the aliens in that room or the previous room. But half of the aliens, if they're not on your site, they'll just sit where they are, and combined with how big these rooms are, you just end up having to do massive backtracking just to find one lone alien. And this is a fucking tactics game. Moving most or like a couple of your guys constantly is just game breaking. Oh, and the final battle. Oh boy, final battle. I decided to take the side, if I had to, like someone had a gun to my head and they said, Whistler, you have to decide what's the most underwhelming end boss fight ever, it would be these guys. Once you are greeted with the hideously long, dull ass cutscene where the videos bore you to death and explain how your race has surpassed them, because they're doing a whole trial thing with you, the fight starts and it's just so inconsistent. I think that's the word I should use for this. It's about shit. Yeah, let's use that word instead. First time I fought them, they mind controlled two of my guys from the other side of the room, making it impossible for me to do anything, and they just annihilated me without even trying. Ah, damn it. Good thing I got that save before the final. Oh yay. Unskippable long, dull cutscenes. The second time I just had all my guys essentially rush the middle ethereal and had everyone shoot at him, and within a turn he was killed, and because of the sudden chain reaction it killed the other ethereals, and that was it. And then they give you your typical you're screwed, we were your salvation speech, and the ship just suddenly is set to self-destruct. And so with the ship going down, as it were, the new one sees a vision that will show the ship will create a black hole upon explosion. So in a really lame cutscene, he traps him or herself in the control room with while the rest of the team escapes back onto the ship, like your ship. The new one then flies just up out to the outskirts of Earth's atmosphere and blows up, somehow not creating a black hole in the process. And so, it is on this day that... wait, what? There's no speech, no victory scene, nothing? Just credits? Wow. The ending here is by far the most underwhelming ending to a game I've experienced in a long time, which is really disappointing. The game's really fun at times, but that's just ruined it. It's like they figured no one would get this far, so they just stuck an end sticker to it and shipped it out, and it just makes me feel like I'd done all of this for nothing. Okay, ranting about the last section of the game over. Hey, welcome back other viewers who I told to go to that other link. So besides the bad ending, which I don't recommend going back if you don't want to see, the oversimplified text and the tactics and then the horrible final level, even though that almost ruined the game for me, I still found the game really, overall, a really solid, enjoyable game. It was fun, it was addicting, and with a little bit of imagination, it was really immersive, be it lacking the longevity. Like, admittedly I kind of crammed this game, in like 48 hours. It was still really fun, and I definitely see where the guys from Civ came about going about this in a different direction. So if you're looking for an enjoyable single player strategy experience and you don't mind turn-based and you don't mind the slightly oversimplified building creations, I'd say this definitely is a game for you. And like for me, since I lack this thing called social skills and friends, I think you unlock them at like level 25, right? Because I have friends, right? Hey guys, enjoy the horrible video? Yeah, me neither. But hey, you know what you should do? You should click on one of the videos here. You know what I mean? They're so much better.